7th March, Saint Perpetua and Saint Felicity, martyrs. As a commemoration, died in the persecution of Septimus Severus in the year 203 at Carthage. There is an impressive narrative of their martyrdom in existence, partly written by the saints themselves and partly by a contemporary writer. A reading from the account of the martyrdom of the holy martyrs of Carthage. They were chosen and called into the glory of the Lord. The day of their victory dawned, and they made their way from the prison to the amphitheatre with cheerful faces and in dignified manner, as though they were on the way to heaven. If they were trembling at all, it was from joy, not fear. Perpetua was first tossed by the cow, and she fell on her back. Then she stood up, and when she saw that Felicity had been crushed to the ground, she went and gave her her hand to help her up. And so they stood side by side. Now that the cruelty of the people was appeased, they were recalled to the Sana Vivaria gate. There, Perpetua was supported by a certain Rusticus, a catechumen at that time, who was keeping close to her. She began to look round her, as though she had been roused from a sleep. So deeply had she been in spiritual ecstasy, and she said, to the astonishment of all, "When are we to be thrown to that cow, or whatever it is?" And when she was told that this had already been done, she would not believe it until she noticed a number of marks of violence to her body and clothes. Then she summoned a brother and the catechumen and spoke to them, saying, "Stand firm in your faith and love one another. Do not let your sufferings be a stumbling block to you." Saturnius, at another gate, was also giving encouragement to Pudens, a soldier. "It has happened," he said, "exactly as I supposed and foretold. Up till now, I have not been touched by a beast. And now you can believe me with all your heart. I shall go forward there, and with one bite of the leopard, I shall be finished off." And at once, as the show was ending, he was thrown to the leopard, and with one bite was so drenched with blood that as he came back, the people called out in witness to his second baptism, "Well washed, well washed." Indeed, he was saved who had been washed in this fashion. Then he said to Pudens, the soldier, "Farewell, and remember me and the faith. Do not let all this disturb you, but rather be strengthened by it." Then he asked for the ring from Pudens' finger. He dipped it in his wound and gave it back to him for a legacy, as a pledge and memorial of his blood. Then he became unconscious and was thrown with the others into the place where their throats were to be cut. When the people demanded that they be brought into the open to make themselves parry to the murder by watching with their eyes the sword being plunged into the bodies, the Christians rose up of their own accord and crossed over to where the people wanted. Then they kissed each other so that their martyrdom could be brought to fulfillment by the ritual kiss of peace. The rest of them received the sword without moving and in silence, especially Saturnius, who, as the first to ascend, was the first to yield up his life, for he was waiting again for Perpetua. But Perpetua, that she might taste something of the pain, was struck on the bone, and she cried out. And she herself guided the fumbling hand of the novice gladiator into her throat. Perhaps such a woman could not be otherwise killed. A woman was feared by an unclean spirit unless she herself gave consent. O most courageous and blessed martyrs, O you who are truly called and chosen for the glory of Jesus Christ our Lord,